All right, welcome to Twinhammer podcast with our guest star Dave Paton from the Other Guys podcast. Current in Canada Kill Team player after just 3 months.
Oh
Absolutely
dear.
smashing it. So good to have you here, man.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, it's very interesting. I didn't envision that I would go from playing really big games to playing really big little games, and it would. I think I've met more people I really enjoy the company of in 3 months of Kill Team than I ever did in 40k. So take that as it is.
Yeah, our community is actually like extraordinary gentlemen. Everyone's so good. When I go to these events, it really feels like you're just hanging with 30-year bros.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest differences I think I highlight, and I know we're going to talk about that a little later on. But a question I get from 40k people is, what is it that you find really appealing about Kill Team? And I have the usual answers. The game scale and the alternating activations, things like that. One of the big things is the Kill Team community, by comparison to 40k, is so healthy. There's nothing like accusatory, or if you take a loss in a tournament in 40k, it becomes very much about like, well, he messed it up, or like there's very much this desire to revel in someone else's failure, I think, in 40k. And Kill Team is very much the opposite, where it's like, oh, how did that, like, let's talk about it, let's talk through it, like what happened, and that's interesting. Oh, that's unlucky. You lament with people a lot more, and that's something I really have come to love a lot about Kill Team, is this like little niche community we've kind of built that is growing at an accelerated pace. And part of the entry fee right now is, yeah, you can hang out, you can play games, and we'd love to have you, but you gotta be a normal, welcoming, like, great person to be around. And that's, yeah, I love that. I think it's great.
Yeah, and really, it's something that we never had a community before. And now that this is the first Warhammer community my brother and I had, and we're just blown away. Not only is it the first that we actually were able to generate in Toronto and be part of, but it's like a league of extraordinarily amazing gentlemen. Like it's
Oh,
literally like
that would have been a great team name. We missed the trick there.
you went for your team name was
It's
amazing.
not bad.
Anyways,
It's my favorite rule in the game.
Yeah, we'll have to keep that for one of the
Yes.
future team tournaments. But we're excited. I know today we got a lot that we're gonna go through, and you just won. Speaking of your team, the Sneaky Zoggers just won. I think, if not the biggest, tied for the biggest, or definitely one of the biggest team tournaments we've ever done. And this was a 5-man tournament, which was really exciting because, like, when do you get to play with 5 people? Usually
Yep.
it's either solo, and we've tried the 3-man tournaments, but I think this was a format that everyone enjoyed. And as now, hopefully we'll do this and people will realize kind of all the depth that there is to be had in the tournament. We just kind of assembled. I was so busy in the summer that I was like, we're just going to be there. But as we went through it, I've got more and more jacked on, like, oh man, the depth was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just kind of like tuned out and just happy go lucky there. But I really, reflecting on it, it's like, wow, the depth is incredible. It's so cool. Talking with James on the strategy,
Yep.
he was explaining to me and Aiden, because we both face him on the same map, same side. So he's like, listen, this is what we were thinking as we progress. So really interesting to dive into the strategies there, and then see how you guys, because you're like the sexiest team, all dressed in the same shirt. Let's launch it here. Let's launch it.
Let's have a little look.
We're gonna
Oh
present
dear.
this right now here. So
Oh my! But that is something James Mustard actually talked a lot about, and he's pretty apt in that. In 40k, look at those handsome fellas and Joe.
look at that.
My favorite part of this photo, by the way, is having come first and won vouchers for a store called Wheels and Wings in Toronto, lovely store. We then did a raffle, and you can't see it, but Max has one as well. Void and Max both took a box from the raffle despite having already got vouchers, and then afterwards went, probably shouldn't have done that. You're right, boys. You probably should have just left it for someone else. Oh, dear.
You know what's funny about both of the things they won
Hmm.
were both of the boxes that I brought for the raffle.
No way, really? Is that true?
So I
Fantastic.
was like, boys, it's in a better home for both of you guys. Like,
Mhm.
uh,
I'm very glad to
but
see Max also got the leg of his glasses fixed. At the last tournament we were at, it was broken and his glasses were squint. It was dreadful to look at him for the longest time. Um, but no, something James Mustard touched on that is actually really big in 40k teams events is when you go to 40k teams events, you will, some of them, you will lose points if you are not all dressed the same. So you have to have a team shirt, you have to have a kind
oh
of team
wow,
ethos. It's typically traditional to bring like gifts for the opposition team, whether that be like dice that you've had made, or we have for the other guys we have objective markers, so you get an objective marker. I know Chimera does the same, and things like that, right? And it makes it otherwise, if you don't have that element of it, it becomes very much just in 40k anyway, 8 individual games that add up to a sum of a thing, but it's not really a team ethos. And by adding those elements of it, it really adds up to make it more of a teams piece. And I think certainly for James and I, that was the desire that we were trying to instill here, right? Is like, no, this
yes.
it's teams first. This is all about the team. This is all about the guys that you're playing with. That's kind of what it lives and dies by, right?
And I think the really cool thing, because some people were explaining um the 40k teams how it went, and I was trying to explain to people that were asking me about the tournament, like my friends, my girlfriend, like how did the tournament go, and how is the teams different? And they're like, "Oh, are you affiliated with a team?" And so knowing that it's like, okay, we have our loose teams that we kind of affiliate with, like the
Yeah.
Maple Leaf Wargaming. There's no kind of set teams in Kill Team, like Team Ontario, Team
Yeah.
Toronto, those kind of things. So I really like the fact that like you were with two other teams before. I had another team, like we were with Max before.
Yeah.
Now he was with you. So it's like it's a really cool chance to bond with different guys, and there's no rivalries. You're just getting together for that team for that tournament. But
Yep.
it's so cool when you're kind of swapping sides. It's kind of like a scrimmage in soccer where
Yep.
it's not like you have this rivalry and this negative experience. You're like, oh, why don't you? We'll be on a team together for this tournament. We'll be on a team for that tournament. And the way that you guys all came together was awesome, because it was the first time a lot of you were on a team together. I know maybe Max Voyan and James kind of Chimera a team in the past, but it's really cool. And you had Steve, I think, was your fifth member.
Steve Welch. It was actually, I think, one of the things I really liked about this, and you're touching on it there, is when it comes to 40k, one of the biggest teams right now in 40k, one of the more successful teams, is basically just Team Canada, and they go out and smash local tournaments, and it's not great for morale. People don't love it, right? And one of the discussions that we've had in that standpoint, and it's an unpopular discussion, I might add, is dissolve. Like, start your own little teams and bring people on, right? And that was like, I know like James, Max, and Voyan essentially adopted Steve and I, and we're like, you two idiots, like come here and drag us down. Myself more than Steve, I must say. And I loved that. I love that aspect of like, and that's kind of what teams is about, because you are part of something greater than yourself, because you're part of not just your individual game. You do get to just be like, just come and play it. Like, oh, the result wasn't great. Who gives a shit? There's 4 other games that we can play through that are going to determine the result of this as well. It's so much less commitment on the individual, right? And yeah, like you said, being able to like dissolve the strengths of our individual personalities and player skill to kind of just make the scene a lot better, right? We got 6 teams out of this, and I think everyone, for the most part, touch wood, but I think everyone left, you know, relatively happy, having played 3 excellent games and, you know, had a bunch of fun. And that's what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah, and I like this event for new players. Our buddy Sean, I don't know if you met him there. We've been friends for 23 years. He
Oh,
got us
wow.
in the hobbies. We're all going to be 35. He got us in the hobby when we were 12. He
Oh,
had
wow.
not come to one Warhammer tournament until that day.
No
That was
way.
his first
Really?
Warhammer tournament. He had
Wow.
always, been playing Old World with us, which was for Warhammer Fantasy, but he never painted the models to get to the tournament. So it was always Thomas and I going. He was able, just with one practice game I had with Raveners with him, to actually play, get his first win, and then have an experience where he wasn't just floating on his own, kind of getting everyone. That's kind of your usual experience. You go to a tournament, you get smashed, 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 smashed,
Yeah.
but he was able to feel like, oh, I actually got paired into another beginner player, and then also was kind of sheltered, and we could have him have a little bit more of an easier time with the matchups,
Yeah,
and have
you kind of
a less like I'm on my own, might finish bottom of the thing kind of experience, right? So
yeah, and that never. I mean, some players are actually, or some people are very very good at that aspect of it. I know I'm not. Like, you can probably notice that in the way I play Kill Team and the way I play 40k as well. Like my, I might talk about that towards the end. Actually, we'll come back to this, but my kind of emotional regulation is quite poor in terms of the game. And in 40k, it works because you have 40 minutes often between your turn and your opponent's turn. So if something goes dreadfully wrong, you've got 40 minutes to stew on it and just try and get over it. Whereas in Kill Team, these emotional regulation spikes are very big and they are very quick. Something can
yes,
go very wrong very quickly, and people are very good at that. Going to tournaments, they can finish bottom or they get sort of spanked for 3 games in a row, and they can just shake it off and go, I had a bunch of fun, I met nice people. If that is you, that's great. You're one of the healthiest people I know, and I encourage you to keep doing it. And if that's not you, then for both of those people, teams events are great because, like you said, you are just playing. You can, if you're going with friends, you can be kind of sort of protected a little bit in pairings, and we'll talk about pairings in a little bit.
yep.
But you're just ensuring, basically, this format ensures that everyone's gonna have a good time, and that's what I love about it.
And to be fair, you're one of the most emotionally regulated people I've ever played. So you're also the most humble person I've ever.
No, 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 you're not. Don't worry, you'll see me hit a devious crash out very, very soon.
Oh, our games have been fantastic. I
I've
think
loved, yeah.
the first time we played actually was in the team
It
tournament.
was. It
And
was.
I think that was one of your first tournaments as well in December that George was he was talking to you about coming to some
Yeah.
Kill Team stuff. So was
It
that
was
the
my.
first?
That was my. Our game, and we played in round 2, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
round 2, yeah.
That was my 4th ever game of Kill Team. Now, 2 things important about that. One, I was playing Nemesis Claw, which are bullshit. And then, furthermore, I was playing Implant and cheating with it. I found out later on. I said to George afterwards, I was like, dude, Implant's great. They charge you, you pay 1 CP, retaliate, strike first, and implant them, and then you die. He's like, you can't do that. I was like, oh, damn it. I'm such an idiot. But no, that was love. I think that tournament in and of itself really sold me on the community. I turned up as someone who didn't know what the bloody hell was going on, and my first opponent was lovely. You were such a fantastic sport because I obviously had a bunch of questions and things I didn't quite understand the alignment of, and the scoring was a little bit tricky. And you're obviously playing Void Dancers, which are in and of itself a tricky team. And yeah, you were just absolutely fantastic. And then I played Matt Deegan, who was on Legionnaires,
Oh yes,
and
he's
and they
so
were
great.
fucking insanely broken. But he was a very lovely fella. And yeah, I just left that. We left. We went for a beer, and I just remember getting home from that, thinking like, I normally get home from 40k tournaments, and I'm just drained. My social battery is gone. My actual mental capacity is gone, and I'm physically just tired. And that's without any kind of high level of confrontational stress that can sometimes arise. And I left that one, got home, and was like, I feel great. And so yeah, it really, really sold me on that. That was that was our first game. I forgot about that completely.
Yeah,
It was at the teams event. Wow,
and George was like, Dave's an amazing player. Like, what? Just watch. He'll take it, and he like
lies, absolute lies.
he'll get the hang of it. And then you beat me, and I was like,
Oh,
George, I think he is actually gonna be one of the top players.
gross incompetence. Let's just say I got away with a nasty melter shot that I. It was also, if I remember correctly, it was upload. I held the central room and I had 3 points on it, and you came to take it at the end. And I just
Yes.
had Marines pinning doors, don't let them in, please. And you tapped it and took away my 3 upload points. And I was like, that was, well played, like nice work, blah, blah, blah. And then inside, I was like, oh, I might just have to kill him. No, it was a fantastic game. I said
Oh,
that.
it was
I
great.
said that to your brother as well. Like every time, I think you guys are both sort of bastions of the community, and you really speak for yourselves when it comes down to it. Because every game I've played into you, your communication, your play lines, everything, the way that you play, it's not about It's not about like good, bad, medium, whatever the case may be, but the way you play is just feels correct, if that makes sense. You're so discussive, you're so clear cut on your intent, both yourself and Ton. It really, really helps to for either across the range of player skill, a newer player such as myself, or even a much more experienced player can both just benefit from that level of communication. And I think it's like it's very seldom that I think we outwardly complement one another, both as like across three separate fronts, as like men in general, as gamers, and then as like opponents a lot of the time, you know?
Yes.
And yeah, I think it's like safe to say, like I thoroughly enjoy playing you guys because you're so clear cut in your communication. And yeah, you're absolute bastions of the community.
And we have to throw that to George as well, who's such a great teacher for everybody, honestly. Who really, I remember in our first games, like he was speaking about intent quite heavily, and I think he's the bastion that kind of started everything in Kill Team in Toronto. And he continues to onboard so many new players. I haven't seen someone like so intent on like following and finding. We found us from Reddit, and really, like, I always speak so highly of George because we're all here because he's worked so hard and he's not affiliated with anything, right? We're
Yeah,
always just
I
like
know, I know.
it's just, yeah, out of the passion. So we're all just adding to it, and seeing you crush so many new teams here, it's like you've added so much energy to the community too, and I think it's really, really exciting to see not only guys like yourself coming from 40K, but like Kill Team growing like this. And like you said, the emotional regulation, because we're going tit for tat,
Mm.
you're not waiting 40 minutes to be like, oh man, you know, I hope I'll get my turn soon, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like you're engaged and you're going the whole time.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm really excited to get into how you guys approach the team tourney. I highlighted, this is such an amazing model here. Your guys, like, I wanted to everyone to know that this is Dave's model right here, and
Yeah.
he's reading the team tournament checklist right there.
Someone on Discord, I think it was Joe, described it as me checking my phone in the middle of the night. I thought that was great.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I'm on a
died
little
laughing.
campaign to try and paint every team or close to it. I know there's 40 teams. So I'm not going to do all of them, but the idea being that if like one of yourself, like yourself or Tom, George, whoever it may be, are going to Worlds, and it turns out one of these teams is the hotness, rather than having to buy and paint it, they can just take one of mine. Um, and also, when it comes to teams events, you know, it's always good to have a team that someone can borrow and play. George was so instrumental in loaning me his novitiates to play that I was like, well, now I have to return the favor.
Yeah, now legendary novitiates after
Oh, they're a great team. Don't
they
don't cycle them out. They're the best team in the game.
I
Unacceptable.
can't mention it, but those novitiates beat a very high ranked player in the world, and
Oh
that's his
no,
only
no.
loss in all of 2025
Oh dear.
calendar
Oh,
year.
I was
So
wondering how long it would take for that to come up.
already making legends in the kill team community out here. Uh,
Oh dear.
and yeah, so here was the overview of the Kill Team tournament for people who are looking at Kill Teams and want to see what a tournament looks like. This was actually just in the hall of a Royal Canadian Legion. When we get a chance to be at like Chimera, Top Shelf, these amazing stores, you obviously have that great storefront environment here. But it was a lovely place. I had my first tournaments in Royal Canadian Legions. They're really cheap for the community to rent,
Yep.
and so it was great. We had lots of table space, and there we can see that we had, was it four teams or six teams spread?
Six teams
Six
total,
teams.
yeah. So
Yeah,
three teams across 3 rows. Sorry, 3 games across 3 rows.
yeah. And then here you guys are. You're in the back
Oh, doing
there.
our best. Yeah, I was. This
Yeah.
was into Mark, into Brood Brothers in my first game, and oh, they make me want to scream uncontrollably. That what a team.
They've just been that Mark's an amazing player and such a great part of the community as well. He's so fun and vibrant. And I actually didn't know he was on Brood Brothers, but
Mm.
they just got their what their alpha nerfed a little bit on the recent data
A little
slate
bit.
that's come out.
Yeah, an interesting slate, shall we say, and I think that's the less said about it, the better. I've never
Yeah,
seen so many negatives since I last checked my bank balance. It was terrible. There's just everything kind of, no, that's not allowed. That out the window. Get rid of it. It's like, Jesus Christ. Can we get a
yeah,
buff, please?
I know.
But well. I also see, by the way, Dylan in the photo in the bottom left. Lovely fella, printed a bunch of stuff like score trackers and objective markers for the tournament. Which is mine's is over there on the table, and it's going to be glued to my tournament bag. So shout out to him, by the way.
Yeah,
The
he
bald
makes
spot
me.
is not doing him a bunch of work though. Let's take photos from ground level of Dylan from now on.
Yeah, he
Uh,
did these amazing. I got it right here. So
oh yeah, they're so good, and the fact that
they're
they hold both 12 mil and 16 mil dice is a great call that not
that's
a lot of people
huge.
would have thought of.
No, because I don't have a lot of the small dice, so
Yeah.
it was fantastic. And having those score trackers now in the new edition is great. There used to be an app that you could track the score for the
Hmm.
last edition on Kill Team. They haven't quite got around to updating it for the new edition, but it's so much better to have it right live in front of you, right?
I
So
mean, the less time you spend kind of married to your phone in the game, I don't know. There's something about the physical aspect of it. Just like it's us. We're playing on this board, and I don't need to dick around on my phone.
yes.
I really quite like that.
I think Kill Team is for me like because I'm always like working all the time and you're always on your phone, and literally it's the only time in my life where I'm like I don't think about my phone for the entire day. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
there. So it's
yeah.
like
I think mine's is on the table in this photo. But it had been a while since we'd brought the novitiates out for a battle, so I had to quickly remember what those flamers did.
oh well they're
I'll never
there.
forget. I'll never forget.
I was rusty. I hadn't played in like a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah,
So you have to refresh yourself on
correct.
rules because yeah. But yeah, this was such a cool team event, and
Yeah,
we wanted to go through kind of the matchups and what you guys were considering,
yep,
how you chose your teams,
yep.
and then what you were kind of thinking as you went through the matchups. What were the discussions? We actually had the live kind of choosing and matchups. So we would play, one person would play defender, then the other
Mm,
person would be able to choose the side, or sorry, the board.
yep.
And then it was a really even balance between like, okay, if you're going to choose the matchup, I get to choose where we're going to play. And then there was also the crit up that was chosen in that mix. And I really like it's like a team strategy is like
Mm,
we're not just deciding like, oh, I'll take this guy, you take that guy. It's it's tit for tat. So yeah,
yeah.
so what went up to the team like as you were going to it, what was the discussion with the teams on what you guys were thinking?
Yeah, 100%. So I think the first thing we knew going into this was now normally what we would consider overall is who was taking, you would consider who is taking what army or in 40k, but in Kill Team vernacular, what team. We knew that Steve was always going to be on Mandrakes, so we knew we had to position around Mandrakes from the start. And Mandrakes are ideally a bit of a kind of take all comers role. They typically score reasonably well on surveillance, and then if they take tack as their secondary, they score 9. So you have a reliable ish 9 points in the bag, and then they try and score what they can on the remainder. And so after that, it became getting 4 other teams that we were really comfortable with. One of the ones that we really thought about was who was going to be our first defender. You know, who are we going to put up first? And if you have a reliable first defender that you just say, I know that you have no good counters into this. It just means that you can kind of windmill slam it on the table. And what you're looking for in a first defender is someone who is both crit up and table agnostic. So you can't put down a first defender and it's like, oh, well, actually, they're terrible. They will automatically lose on extraction, right? For example, I say that as an example. Because then then they might pick extraction and then you're screwed. So you need someone who is really agnostic across both of those sides. So we went with who's a reliable first defender? We had James as a first defender, as like a blunter kind of thing, and we also had what do you call it? We had myself. I was meant to be on exaction, but I took up novice instead, which proved to be rather fruitful. And the idea being was that we did have 2 people that we could just say, look, they can depending on your team composition, we can put down one of these things, and we can, peel out something we don't want, or we don't really care what you put down. And Kill Team is really good, and there's 40k has a lot of kind of rock paper scissors mentality. If you put down X, I put down Y, and Y beats X. Kill Team doesn't really have that, with the exception of a few matchups. So, for example, and I can talk about this when we talk about how to choose matchups in a little bit. But when we paired into yourselves, for example, one of the pairings that we knew we had to avoid or pin was Felgor into Exaction. We knew that that was going to be a matchup that we assumed that you guys really wanted, and we knew that we either had to basically peel out Felgors really early, or we had to take Exaction very late, or both, ideally. And we managed to do both of those, which is that kind of little pairings minigame you're talking about, right?
Yes.
And so that was, for us, that was kind of why we chose our team. So as I go through them, we took Mandrakes because we know they score very well. We know that they score.
I'll show. Now we gotta get the visual representation here.
So you can see the panic of whether I was going to take Novitiates. I even had the Novitiates card made and brought both teams with me, and on the day was like, I don't know what I'm going to play until the tournament started. So yeah, we had myself on Novies. That is Voyan on Warp Coven. Mr. James Mustard on Herotech Circle. That's Max on Felgors. A terrible Felgor attempt by ChatGPT. Destroying the world's resources to come up with a terrible goat man is not great. And then Steve was on Mandrakes. And yeah, so Steve, to kind of score us, safe pair of hands, right? Get us reliable points, because any teams format, you contribute as a 5-person team to try and score 55 points is the winning margin. So each player needs to score 11 points on average. And that is not 11 in-game points. That is 11 points based on differential scoring. And I can talk about that in a little bit. We had Max there, and Max's role was essentially to push differential. Max's role was to go out and get ideally 20 points for the team, whilst his opponent got 0. Score 20s, right? There's a couple of things, like people will phrase it as like a champion or a pairings princess or whatever you want to call it. But his role is like, we will sacrifice good matchups elsewhere to get Max a good matchup, because we know that the differential he can push on points is not as bad as the differential we will take in a loss from getting another pairing that he's bad into. Yeah. James was there really as just like, I do not give a shit. So one of the reasons we picked Herotech was that they, as well, they artificially reduce the amount of points your opponent can score through the kill-up. Most teams have to give you some points on kill-up just by nature of playing the game, and Herotech don't. Herotech can naturally skew a game by virtue of, even if they score 2 on kill, you maybe only score 1 or 0, and they have a 1-point advantage already, right? And so that was kind of one of the reasons we took them. Warp Coven was a last-minute addition, but we thought that they really played like a really good take-all-comers game. And what the idea was is that if we can have Voyan consistently picking his own terrain as well, we can get him on like WTC boards or Volcus boards that are kind of gross with Warp Coven on them, right? You have some idiot with fly jumps up the top of a building, doom bolts you from across the room. You're like, great, that was fun. I loved every minute of that. That was fantastic. And so that was kind of how we approached the composition, right? We had our first defenders picked out. We knew the pairings that we wanted to avoid, and we knew who was going to push our differential. And from there, in a 5-man's environment, everyone else is like, just if you're going to lose narrow, and if you're going to win, try and win big. Don't take big risks, I think was the other thing we discussed coming into this. And we can talk about what, in terms of team scoring, what risks look like in a little bit. I think bullet point 4. But yeah, don't take big risks, win big, lose small, and protect Max at all costs, basically, was how we looked at it.
Protect the, that was, everyone else, I think AI smashed it, even James somehow, this Skeletor.
James. What are you talking about? That is James in a nutshell.
And everyone else, like even Steve in this Mandrakes photo, is like quite great.
Steve's a good one. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Voyan's coy smile is it's aging me. I don't love it too much.
Yeah, it's the perfect like sorcerer, I'm about to fuck you up smile.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen him make that smile, and then I lost by 17 points.
Yeah, and he's deadly on Warp Coven because we all took Warp Coven to Worlds because they were just like, you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah,
And
of course.
he smashed it. He finished like 16th in the world or
Yep.
something with Warp Coven. So when I saw him on Warp Coven, that's why I was like, when we were facing you guys, it was, should I play Voyen, who I knew I've only beat once and he's
Yep.
on Warp Coven, or James, who I've never beat and he's
Yep.
on Higher Tech, which is denying the kill op. So I let fate decide and I had to roll off.
To be clear, we were we were like, please God, let him take James. Please don't peel Voyan out of this. And you took James, and we were like, thank God for that dice. Oh my God. We were
Yeah.
like, please, Alex, please pick James. We're like trying to be all like, oh, all coy about it. And when that dice came up with a 4, we were like,
Yeah, because on retrospect, I think Gores would have been decent into actually the Warp Coven
mm,
because they can handle everything and just rush down the sorcerers.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But James played a masterful deny game against me,
yeah.
which I managed to score quite well,
Mhm.
but got almost tabled in the process. So
Yeah.
um yeah, so you were choosing the matchups. You
Yes.
had a great selection of teams that you chose. And then you've alluded to kind of what you were thinking per
Mm,
round there. And then uh we'll go into maybe how to play each matchup, but I also want to just highlight the next slide that we had, which was two things that you mentioned already, which were how to score points and then how to deny points. And I want to bring up the deny points is something that you mentioned in terms of differential. I mean, George told everyone it's going to be on differential, right?
yeah.
But it's so new actually, right? Because usually you get the wins and then you're the differential only matters maybe if you tie and you go like same as everybody else and then the points matter. But here, because it's a bit win big, lose small,
Mhm.
I think it's a very really something that I see at the top tables. This is the one skill at the top tables that you don't see with people who are beginner or intermediate, right? Is really like Kill Team's so complex already with 25 30 different things that you're thinking about just from a micro team rules level and macro game rules level,
Mhm.
never mind what's actually going on in the game. You're just trying to make sure you're playing everything right. But the ability to think about to get to the level where you're thinking about denying your opponent points,
Mhm.
like even when I think of my game with James, I was more focused on I knew he was playing security and contain, but I didn't have that as equal in my mind as like I'm scoring and I have to deny equally him scoring. And I think if you can get to that point as a kill team player and maybe even like a tabletop player in general
Mhm.
or Warhammer player in general, denying your opponent points and having them top of mind while building your strategy, it's very key to have both of these in mind because
Yep.
if you're just thinking about yourself, you could think you're doing well, but then all of a sudden you're losing or the score is against you, right? Because
Yeah.
you've really not thought you haven't cared about anything your opponent's doing. You're just trying to play your own game, right? So I think those were 2 points that I think you masterfully brought up there and wanted you to kind of maybe think about that as you're playing each matchup as
Yeah,
well.
of course. Yeah, it's an interesting facet. Kill Team is a lot more savage than 40k. 40k is an 100 point cap, and every 5 points is 1 point of differential. In Kill Team, every single point is a point of differential for your team, and so it's very savage. One of the things, actually, coming back to Dylan printing those score trackers, that a couple of my opponents didn't do a couple of times, and I encouraged them to throughout the game, is tracking your own kill up as the game progresses, because it lets you make smarter decisions down the line. In my game against Dylan, who was on Hero Tech Circle, which was on the exact same map that I beat Shane on, not to stress a point, uh, but the going into the final turn of that game, the final activation, actually, he had activated everything, and there was one activation I had that could make a difference, and it was my duelist charging one of his operatives. If I kill his operative, I go up a point on kill up, which gets me a bonus point on kill up, which gets me a 2-point differential, right? If I do not get that point, he actually goes up a kill up, right? And I can see my kill up. He goes up a kill up point. He then gets the extra point and he gets bumped. He closes the gap on differential. And so just instead of just like, well, I could kill that guy, I should kill that guy, go for it. It then became a case of, okay, I have my icon of faith, I have 5 faith points, I can guarantee the kill, blah, 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 all those kind of things, right? And understanding a little bit more, I think one of the things that going back to the kill op as well, right, is just a lot of people will throw a guy out and be like, I'll tap that point, and then the guy dies, and your opponent bumps a point on kill op, and you've done nothing there. You've essentially stayed exactly the same, right? You've kind of denied them a point on crit, but now they can play passive as well. They can engender passivity, which means you're not going to recover that point on crit. It's on kill, pardon me. I think kill and crit are the two biggest variables when it comes to scoring, and those are your two biggest opportunities to score, to push differential. Tack is interesting. Some teams, I think, like plant beacons was one of our goals for this, for when we were picking teams, is like try and have access to sort of beacons or these non kind of interactive secondary scoring mechanics. Contain is one of those ones where like James played Contain a couple of times. Loved it. He plays it fantastically. Contain is terrifying because it gives your opponent a ton of agency to shut down your scoring. And so pushing differential or denying points can often be as simple as, well, I'm just going to, tap your point, or I'm going to break your contain, or I'm going to stop you scoring that point on crit. But it can often be more about preventing their kill up, which is difficult to do a lot of the time, especially when you're used to a singles format where it doesn't matter if I win by 1 or 45, as long as I win. Whereas this is more like, no, I do need to hide a little bit. I do need to play a little more conservatively. And I know one of the things that really helped us in terms of how to play each matchup, Max or myself were typically one of the two people who were finished first. And we would go around each other table and say, how are you getting on? Like, does it look like a win? Does it look like a loss? How do you feel? And then you could go to the other tables and say, look, let's say James. James, for example, thinks he's going to lose by a little bit. How are you looking? Well, I could maybe score a couple of more points if I take a couple of risks. Take those risks because we need the points. Whereas if I know we're already winning quite well, I can say, look, no risks. Take it easy, score your points, right? And so that's another thing that I noticed a couple of guys not doing, and I think it's a fantastic thing to do, is just talk to your teammates during the game. There's a couple of caveats. The opponent has to be able to fully hear what you're saying and all those kind of things, which obviously we made sure to do. But just understand your position within the game and your position within the overall scoring and what you're meant to do as well. And that's another thing that I think how to play each matchup comes into is, what is your role? Are you meant to be pushing points? Because you could run out incredibly aggressively like a clown with its hair on fire and hammer people to death, and then you get hammered in response. You're like, well, I was meant to push points. And your teammates, your captain's like, your job was to keep it calm and like draw. It's like, oh, shit, my bad. And so, go in prepared with a game plan of how you're going to score your points. Plan to score at least 9 on something or 8. Like, if you're picking up, this applies to singles as well. But if you're picking a primary op, you should absolutely be scoring 5 or 6 on that. You can't afford to not do that. And then understand kind of where your breakpoints are, where your weaknesses are. Like if you're taking contain, understand that you must stop them getting in there at all costs, for example. Now that's obviously not an exhaustive guide by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just little things about like aggression. Give them too many choices to where they can't score crit. Give them too many choices to where they can't score kill. Punish them, double kills, all that kind of stuff. I've waffled a little bit there, but that's certainly some of the stuff we think of.
That was amazing. There was no waffling there. There was only like Belgian waffles with like fucking dip.
Delicious.
That was luxurious listening right there.
Oh dear. We tried our best.
It was honestly, I think you mentioned so many great things there, and I think that's why the team tournament felt refreshing and felt interesting, because you could have a job to do more than just winning, more than just I'm on my own. I gotta squeak a win and try to get as maximum points
Yep.
across the board as possible. But it's having that is like, okay, this is my job. And then knowing which matchups. Kill Team is interesting because it's not pure mirror like chess.
Yep.
It's there are some advantageous matchups, but part of the real fun of it is if they nail these data slates right, is there could be a slight advantage or disadvantage, but really finding, like you said, your own breakpoints and your own what what your team does the best. And Thomas and I talk about this quite a lot. You don't want to, you got to think about where the value is on your team and where you're going to deny the, like, if goremongers want to get into combat, then you've got to do every single thing, all their values in combat, right?
Yeah.
So, or within 2 inches. So how do I destroy the value of them getting into combat at 2 inches? And James, to be fair, did that extraordinarily well on ITD, where one room that was really easy for me to come in there and fuck shit up. He had a mine, he had the wire, he had so many deterrents. And then he knew that if I was to go grab him on any of the other two big rooms, then it would be significantly harder. So he kept it wide open and kind of turtled on those. So
Yep.
I think it's really cool to not only understand what your matchup is, but like you said, what your specific team's role is and where they could actually benefit the most. And I think that's what I see you doing well coming from 40K, is that when I play you, that's why I said to George, like, I know he's going to be great because I could see you asking the right questions of like, if I do this, how do I score here? And if I do this, how do I score here? And so you're already thinking about all of these I shall score and let me see if I could deny my opponents, where people who are just getting used to, gaming in general, or haven't played chess or haven't played big 40K, it's more like what does my model do and how do I score points?
How do I kill you and fight you and do the cool stuff? It's like, actually, it's a weird little points game.
Yeah.
I think
But I
pairings as
think,
well is one of the
sorry.
things I would chat about. Pairings, I think, is one of the things I think
Yes.
was underappreciated. Um, there was, with only 5, it's actually really hard to pair well. 8 in 40K can just be like, throw a guy out there. There's a term in 40K which is like the scrum, and that's kind of your last 3 pairings, or just like whoever's left, fuck it. And one of the things that we wanted to do I'll use our round as an example. One of the things we desperately wanted to do, we wanted to peel Joe out first of all, because none of us really wanted to play Star Strider, so we wanted to peel him out. We knew that we wanted to what do you call it? Pin yourself. We knew that we wanted to give Goremongers 2 bad choices.
Yeah.
And so we managed to be able to do that. We did not expect you to be put up as a defender. And so when you were put up as a defender, that had allowed us to give you what we thought were 2 bad matchups and be like, it's going to suck in either direction, right? And then that meant, for us anyway, that we were able to play around your exaction squad because we got away. We made out like a bandit when we managed to put down against Sean Max and be like, oh, sorry, we put Max down and you put exaction and other thing, and it was Sean. And it's like, cool, we'll just grab that, right? So that means we managed to, across the 5 pairings, I think we got agency over 3 that we really cared about. And that was breaking Max out of exaction jail, pinning yourself, and then getting exaction into kind of not a great win, but not a great loss either, right? Like that kind of novitiate match. And then obviously peeling Star Striders out as well. It's tricky. I know, what do you call it? Is it Ethan Dennis? Lovely fella from Rochester, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He was playing Ravagers, and they put the poor soul. They put him up as the first defender in our first match, and that meant he got map pick, but not mission pick.
Yes.
And one of the things we were cognizant of is, well, Ravagers are what do you call it? They're like a Raveners are a 15 APL team. If you can pick a mission that forces them to both stay on the board and have to use an action to tap their primary, it's a nightmare for them. They need mission pick. They need to be attackers. They can't be defenders. And
Yes.
And knowing little things like that going into it, the pairings process was I hovered around a couple of other tables while we were pairing because I was just curious how other players were pairing. And there was a lot of pairings that were like, well, I don't want to play Troy because Troy's really good. It's like, no, it's not about that. It's stop thinking about it. Stop pairing the person. Pair what's on the card. But no, it was, yeah, pairings were, I think pairings for me anyway were the most. I'm very sad we lost the forms with all the pairing data on it because the data from this I would have been really interested to see it because the data for this doesn't exist for Kill Team. Believe me, I've looked. And the sort of missions, the maps, and the way that things were paired up, I would have really, really loved to see that. I don't know if you guys had any particular strategies that you were looking at pairing.
I think for us, we didn't go in with a lot of strategy, but certainly we knew that Exaction would be incredible into Felgor, would be incredible into any melee team that really wanted to get in. And then obviously we knew that any elite teams Vivek could dispatch easily, like probably like a 21 score, just because Corsairs are so lethal, so deadly, and he's played them so well.
Yeah.
So we knew that he was kind of our trump card, in kind of, let's say, he's our captain, and making sure that we wanted to give him that kind of preferred matchup. And then for me as Goremongers, like any shooting matchup would be fantastic. Like paired into anything that needs to shoot, I can survive, and then just go like anything like crew Aquilons, like Vetguard, Pathfinders, any of those that would have come up would have been pretty sweet. Even Hyrotech, I was feeling not too bad into, honestly, because I was like, well, they don't have a lot of access to double shooting. So maybe if I go all the way a one turn, I can kind of overwhelm. And then I had the plant beacons as well, which I'd never taken until that matchup in my 10 games. But I
scored
was
6 on it as well, I think, didn't you?
yeah, I did. Yeah. And I was like, well, I can't confirm any kill against Hyrotech because they don't die. So
they also have that really annoying thing where if you kill them and they drop a plant beacon, or drop a kill confirm, they pay for that ploy where they're 1 APL and they're dead guy, so they're contesting the marker and you can't pick it up. It's pain in the arse. It's ridiculous.
So, I was telling you, I was asking James before the game, I was like, what's your interaction with like confirmed kill? If I kill you twice, do I get two confirmed kill tokens? And I think
you do, right?
I think James said I did.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not gonna risk it. I'll just go for planting the beacons of corn. So the narrative storyline that emerged was my guys would just plant an icon of corn and then just get shot up.
So brave. Those brave men. Completely. I know novitiates are terrible into goremongers. And when you were put down as a defender, Max turned to me and held up my card, and I went, absolutely fucking not. don't put me down there, please. You'll run over me. I can't stop because I'm very like, I shoot you from kind of 8 inches away. You don't die. You heal, charge me, kill me, bump into something else, kill that, and I go, yeah, that seems about right.
Goremongers are this team that are very, and they're interesting in that team dynamic game because they're very good into some matchups, and then some matchups you're playing and you're like used to being this. I still think they need a little bit of touching Goremongers because they are still, for me, like the funnest team I've ever played with. You don't play with your butt clenched because you can't die on your first round of shooting. And if someone tries to fight you in combat, you're just like, you're so good, right? So I do think they need a little bit of touching that they didn't get in the data slate that just happened. But when you are playing the Nemesis Call, when you are playing the Angels of Death before Dueler as well, those are huge uphill battles because you don't, all of a sudden, all your tools for anything you want to fight in combat that wants to fight you in combat, you're really, you run out of tools quick, right?
They're what, like we would like, I say a couple of the folks I know would refer to them as a bark team, which is their bark is often worse than their bite. What I mean by that is in pairings, they are a team that you can, in 40k, it would have been older World Eaters. They are a card that you can just hold and just, the other team is shitting a brick. None of them want to be the team that plays that team, right? And you can just hold it. I might put this down at some point. I might not. What the fuck are you going to do about it? And they have to respect that the whole time. They have to hold back their teams that are good into Gores, or in 40k terms, World Eaters, just to be like, he might. If they put them down, we don't want to be screwed. And they are just one of those. If they hit a jailbreak, like if they hit you and then they're in your backline, you're done. You can't do it. You can't get them out of there. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare.
And then
And so yeah.
once they get their kill, free charge kill, and I was running 5 aspirants as well.
Nice.
So because they're just like with that rending, well, now they've got nerfed with the severe, because before you could always guarantee 2 crits on your charge. But now thankfully they got that little touch. But yeah, once you get them in there, they're just bouncing around and you're having a great time, right?
Shoot them. 8 damage. You ain't doing anything, dude. It's over.
Right.
No.
Oh man, yeah. So I think for us, we were kind of confident that we had 5 profiles of team that would be good.
Yep.
And we knew we had some elite hunters. We actually had 3 elite hunters on the teams. I think Star Striders are quite good with their mega laser into elites. Raveners, I was very happy to have Sean. I think Raveners into Felgor are actually quite a good matchup. So I was kind of happy that Sean got paired into Max. Obviously, the skill level is like astronomical.
Yeah, I think there's like a skill diff element there, obviously.
That was a skill. The matchup is not bad for Raveners. If you don't, keep your Raveners outside of the tunnel and you have to play that mechanic. It was only his 3rd game anyways. So,
of course.
But
that was one of our goals as well. Sorry to cut you off, Alex.
That
was one of our goals as well for this. And you guys probably did something similar. It's very important that we get data, that we get interesting discussions from this event. So do not pair these pairings based on skill difference. Yes. Just pair these pairings as if it is a player of equal skill and you're pairing these teams that make sense. Do that. Because otherwise as much as I love teams and they're great and all the rest of it, like people like yourself or George or Voyen and Max, etc., are players who are probably looking to a 2026 WTC run, right? So it makes sense that we start having good data around that now, where we can make good decisions. So yeah, that's one of the things that drove our pairings a little bit as well.
Yeah, and speaking of WTC and pairings, let me just share this again here. Just highlight, I know we want to highlight your podcast, the other guy's podcast.
Oh, don't listen to it. It's terrible. It's full of bald Scottish men. Well, one of them.
Great, man. It's fantastic. I loved listening to it when you did your Kill Team episode as well. And and I know we wanted to kind of discuss the 40k teams versus Kill Team really quickly and what you thought of now playing a couple of big tournaments for Kill Team in teams. What's your experience with 40k teams and seeing both big 40k and now Kill Team? What do you notice are similarities between the 2 game mechanics, and what's in, like, do you enjoy coming to the Kill Team team mechanic as well now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, the similarities I see in it are not that high. And the reason I say that is because Kill Team has a much more involved pairings process. You're banning missions. So for comparison, in 40k, you all play exactly the same primary mission. You all play exactly the same crit op. It's just the table configuration is different. So it becomes really, really important to peel out certain tables based on army weaknesses. I think something that's fairly similar, I think, for me, is the importance on Kill Team of going, in 40k, the importance of going around and checking how your team are doing. Like, for example, when we go to tournaments as the other guys, we have a coach, a lovely fella by the name of Jaden McCartney, hence my BCP name. I love Jaden McCartney. Or I think it's I like, actually. Sorry, Jaden, if you're listening. But the importance of having someone to be able to go around and say, look, how's it going, guys? Do we need to adjust what we're doing? I think that's equally as important in Kill Team, to be able to go around and say what's going on right now, because it can be like, you can be on TP4 and your game's done and you know your score, and you can have someone else on TP2 who's playing like a field mouse and they need information to make an accurate decision. Same thing in 40k. You have teams that, or you have armies that play at different paces, and those players need information to make good decisions. So I think that's one of kind of the big ones for 40k teams and Kill Team teams. One of the, as I say, the pairings process is slightly more, say slightly more, it's actually a great deal more involved in Kill Team than it is in 40k, because you have WTC board, 2 Volcus boards, 2 ITD boards. Those couldn't be more different. Add to that, you then have crit ops that are picked by the player themselves. You're all playing different crit ops. And that means things like, initiative modifiers on Power Surge, which, by the way, is my favorite mission in the game. If they remove it, I'll riot. But knowing how those things interact and making good decisions there. Whereas 40k, it's just, I don't know, play the mission, see what happens. The other thing I thought that stood out like a sore thumb to me, actually, about Kill Team teams versus 40k teams. In 40k, it's often very difficult to impossible to get a hold of an army, right? You either, someone who plays it, and maybe they play it well, maybe they play it badly, but that's the army they own, and they're coming on your team, so that's what they'll be playing. And say, for example, they play Space Marines, and at that point in time, Sisters are the best thing in the planet. Well, you might not know someone who owns an entire Sisters army, and you definitely don't know someone who owns the entire configuration you might need. So borrowing an army is an arduous, difficult, often impossible task. In Kill Team, if there is a team that someone wants to play, I guarantee you know at least 3 people who own that team. And you can borrow it from them, and they'd be more than happy to loan you it, because you hand them it back at the end of it, and it's in a matchbox. It's tiny. It's a small amount of commitment from you, and it's a small amount of commitment from them. And so when it came to pairing or understanding what was going to happen, like, we knew Joe was going, we know Vivek was going, we knew yourself, we knew Tom, but we had no idea what you were playing, because you have access to such a large swath of kill teams, and it made going into this making smart decisions really difficult. Whereas to use a fellow that plays 40k, for example, if I see John Winter Russell going to a tournament, I know that he is playing guard. If I see Brian Crothers going to a tournament, I know that he's playing Chaos Space Marines. I just know those things. Whereas with Kill Team, it's so easy and so straightforward to borrow a team. Playing it is a different matter entirely, but access to those teams means that you end up with a much healthier and much more enriched meta. Whereas 40k can often be who are the 8 teams who have access to the 8 most currently powerful things in the game? Okay, they already have a 10% better chance of winning the event than you do. And then, skill diff comes into it and all the rest of it. So I think those 3 for me were kind of the bigger similarities or differences. And then actually just between the game itself, we touched on it earlier, and I wanted to come back to it, but so 40k, in 40k, if you're charged, if someone charges you, they fight you, and they resolve, they automatically fight you. It's not a decision. And they resolve every single thing that charged before you get to fight. So you can often be charged by 4 things, they kill everything they touch, you lose 4 units, and now you have 4 idiots standing directly in front of you about here, and you have to kill them or they're just going to repeat the feat. And that happening in 40k is, without any other way of putting it, complete ass. It sucks when it happens to you. And then you're just standing there for like 30 minutes as they resolve these fights going, fuck my life. And all you can think about is the score you're losing, the time you're losing, etc., etc. And that's where the kind of emotional piece I talked about earlier, it falls a bit flat for you. And you have 30 minutes to kind of get over it, tough it out, and kind of, oh fuck, I hope I can pick myself out of this. Kill Team is often like, you charge someone and you might just hug them. Or you charge someone, you fight them, your dice are toilet, their spike, you die, and you're like, honestly, my heart rate is disgusting when these things happen. And then you have to, because their action, their response, their reprisal happens so quickly, it's so swift, and it can often be very bloody. It's very, very easy, and this is something I think both you and I have probably seen, where newer players, they will often chase revenge over playing the rest of the game. Like, you will charge, you'll kill something, you're now expended, And then they're like, he has to die. It's like, leave him alone. He can't do anything else. I promise. Kill something else. Um, and trying not to get, and there's like, even now there are games, I say even now as if I'm some fucking old hand at this, played barely at any games, but there are times even now where I will catch myself being pissed off and like, oh, he has to fucking die. So he doesn't. Leave him alone. And 40k, I think you can dig yourself out of more holes. Kill Team, I believe you have to play much more accurately or much cleverly. Cleverly is not a word, but fuck it. Because it's it can be very challenging to dig yourself out of a hole in Kill Team. One bad decision can really, really ruin your day. And it's why I'm always very like open with, for example, when I played Dylan, like, look, if you move here, I have a 3 operative torrent shot I can get off. Do you want to just move him a little bit out of there? Right? Like, because that's devastating. It's not like 40k where like, oh, whoopsie poopsie, I lost one of my 18 units. Now I have only 17. Oh no. Like losing an operative in Kill Team can be backbreaking, and losing 3 of them or 4 of them to a disgusting blast, no. So yeah, I think Kill Team certainly feels a lot more punishing than 40k. And I know there's probably some 40k enjoyers who are listening to this who are like, our game's your best game. And I'm not saying one's better or worse or whatever the case may be, but Kill Team can certainly feel a lot more punishing, especially when you're learning. But even now, I've given up some heinous blast shots in my time when I'm like, I wish this didn't happen to me. This sucks. Tom got me with one actually at the Teams event. I had 2 novitiates in combat, and he was like, I'm going to activate the shotgun. He has taunt at 1. Does it apply when I shoot you in combat? And I was like, I sure think it does. Gun down. I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
I think Thomas's first active, like, we went to Nova, which was a GT with only 2 rounds of Kill Team that took us 3 hours because we had no one teaching us.
Oh my God.
We this was before we met George. So we're gonna try Kill Team out. We had 2 rounds, and so we're like, we're just gonna show up because we were playing a lot of Warcry. We loved Warcry, but it's a lot less lethal than Kill Team, right? Warcry, you guys have more, like, everyone has 20 wounds, right? And you can't die. You can die off of a shooting, but shooting's not really the emphasis of Warcry. And so we've just played a GT of Warcry, and we're used to that. You come to Kill Team, my brother thinks that the invuln save of his Corsairs is actually like the invuln save, like once you've failed your saves, you get to use this invuln.
Oh
no, that's just the replacement. Either you choose one or the other. He bunched all of his 4 guys together. His first turn, his opponent's like, I'm going to eliminate your 5 best operatives altogether. So his first ever turn proper in a tournament of Kill Team, half of his team was gone before the game even started. So
that is brutal. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Yeah, it's so difficult to start with, that learning phase. I remember I played Voyan at Chimera, and he was playing Hand of the Archon, and I moved the guy, and it was I still hadn't got my head around Vantage versus cover types. So I moved the guy to shoot him, and he's like, you can't shoot me. I was like, I'm above you though on Vantage. He's like, yeah, but that's heavy cover. Okay, cool, fine, whatever. And then so I moved a separate guy. I'm going to shoot you. Well, no, you can't, because that's also heavy cover. So this happened like 4 or 5 times in the course of the game, first couple of activations. And by the end of it, I was pretty fucking frustrated. I was like, can I just, one of these guys can shoot? So I got my Dvorgate Skinner, and I moved him up the building, and I ran across the walkway, and I was like, I can shoot you now. He said, you absolutely can. That is a legal shot, but you've moved him like way too far. And I was like, yeah, you're right, my bad. Oh God, I think he won that game like 21-3. I got absolutely shellacked. Kroot were not my team. But yeah, I think that's definitely a part of it. Kill Team is brutal, and I think that's why it rewards, or is better as a shorter game. In 40k, you can just get hammered, and you've got to sit there for like another hour and a half just rolling saves while your opponent. You've got to be an AI to play the game against your opponent. And you're like, this is fucking dreadful. Whereas at least in Kill Team, when it goes really bad, you're free. You get to go do something else. It's great. Your worst losses are only ever like about an hour away from your best wins, right? Is the way I think about it in tournaments.
Yeah, it's true. And it's so quick that you really, because you don't have $1,000
Oh,
minimum 1,000 hours
yeah.
in your army in front of you. We can do a kill team in one night, which we're gonna highlight next, all the kill teams you've been doing, but you could do one kill team in one night. So you're like, oh, this is one of 50, 30 now kill teams I have.
Yeah.
If I lose with these guys, I don't have any emotional attachment to this army, right?
Yeah, the
Um,
sunk cost can really hit people in 40k, especially with like Games Workshop will publish a book for your army. I played Grey Knights, their book just came out. It's dreadful. And there's nothing that kind of sucks more than like, oh, this is what I have for like 3 years minimum. I'm going to be playing this dog shit. Whereas at least in Kill Team, you go, oh, they really nuked like Angels of Death, for example. Well, I guess I'll go out and buy another $60 team and just paint that up, easy peasy.
yeah,
And that, yeah,
yeah,
it's so good. You're not married to stuff. It does. So in 40k, I paint one army for an entire year, and then I'll play an army for an entire year and just kind of get the feeling for it and understand the nuance of it. And because Kill Team is so quick to paint, so enjoyable to paint, by the way, the sculpts are gorgeous. Very often I'll find myself at the end of before a tournament, and Leanne, my partner, laughs her head off. She's like, "You're so set in your ways in 40k. You just know what you're playing." And she'll see me the night before a tournament being like, with like 4 teams in a line, and I'm like talking to them. Which one of you will be the team? she's like, just fucking pick one. It does matter. It matters to me, okay?
yeah.
Oh dear.
It is really cool, and I want to highlight your team. Okay, first of all, there's it is 11th. There he is,
11. Just
shot
under.
up in
Yeah.
just 3 months. There you are with all the top
Joe
players.
Higginson's 6th. Good for him.
Yeah, Joe's
Good for
killing
him.
it. Aiden's killing it. They both
Yeah. Did they
super
both get
narrowly
tickets?
missed. No, they both super narrowly missed tickets by like by a few points each, but they deserve it. I hope
100%.
they're like both such amazing gentlemen. So I
We'll
hope
just
I
go to
hope they're gonna
tournaments.
be
I'll just go to tournaments and pass. If they play me, I'll just take a knee. Look at Dave Safrida 10th as well. What a
Yeah,
dick.
Dave is incredible too. One of the many incredible Daves we have.
Yeah, Team Dave.
Team
Oh
Dave and
dear.
Team Dylan. We had the Team Dylan
The
was
D
basically
team, yeah, I love the D
the
team.
D
That was
team.
don't clip that. That was the D team was a great appearance at the team's event. I did love that. It was great.
Yeah, and now on the teams, this is your gorgeous
Look at his terrible eyes. What a terrible.
no, these are amazing, man. He's just like, I'm gonna fuck you up in so many
Oh yeah,
ways. I don't even
he is
need to
gonna let
look
you
at you.
out. I actually have a full 2,000 or about 4,500 point Votan army. They're all
No
pink and
way.
blue, and I'd never painted anything that was like majority green. And I thought, green might look nice. And then I painted these fellas and was like, okay, well now I want to paint all the rest of my Votan. That's a problem. The fella directly in the middle is my favorite sculpt, and he's the medic. It's such a shame because I can't take him because the medic sucks. But he's angled slightly upwards and he has a little bit of blue tack under his head, so he's looking up. So he looks weird on his own, but if you put him next to a space marine, he's aiming directly at their head because he's so much shorter than them. This team has so much personality. I loved painting this team. They were so
They're
fun.
incredible. Like this guy here with the double knuckles, Hulk
Yeah.
Hogan.
Hulk
Like
Hogan,
they made
R.I.P. by the way,
yeah,
R.I.P. Hulk Hogan.
RIP, RIP. Was that this week
It was
or
about 3 hours ago or 6 hours ago.
oh shit?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan down, dude. I mean,
Well, that's all.
the man is or was a complete psychopath, but good wrestler,
Well,
very good kill team operative.
he lives in immortality and kill team of all things. I think he'd love it. He's a
Oh,
lugger.
I'm really excited to play this team. I think they look really, really fun. But now that I know that novitiates are not cycling out till after Worlds, maybe we play a little bit more novice. Maybe we play a little more.
I think Novis are such a fun team, and you've been piloting them so well. And especially since people like after they got nerfed after last Worlds, everyone kind of just abandoned them completely, and then you took them on again. And I love that when things get nerfed, there is that crowd mentality, right? Especially because you have like two or three main voices being like, oh, they're gone or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So everyone's watching them, so you kind of everyone jumps ships together. But I love when someone picks it back up and being like, well, it just got a balance and now they're still good. And to
Yeah.
play them at such a high
I
level.
don't understand how in Kill Team, so in 40k for Sisters, which is the team Novies are part of, you roll dice and put them to one side, and you're able to substitute those dice for actions during a shooting or fighting or whatever. And that's pretty good. But you might just roll all ones and put them to one side, and that sucks. Whereas the fact that in Kill Team I just get a bunch of fake nonsense points and I can use them to make it whatever I want, ridiculous. How no one plays these more, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
fantastic because you roll probably depending on your army, you might roll upwards of over 1,000 dice over the course of a game of 40k,
Yeah.
meaning your variance kind of comes back to about 3.2, give or take, an average roll. Whereas in Kill Team, you only roll about 70 dice over the course of the game. So you're much more susceptible to variance over the course of one game. And having a little like bullshit mechanic that you just go, I do this because I normally have a D20 tracking my faith points, getting to just be like, did I accidentally get a crit? Yes, I did. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so good. No, I love them to bits. I will truly, truly miss them when they cycle out. And it's a shame because they are
Yeah.
fantastic.
I hope my Novi's team is converted from a Sisters of Battle team.
Nice.
So I hope there's going to be like, there's nothing more thrilling than live nuns with guns for
No,
me.
nuns with
So
guns, dude. That's what
there's
it's got to
something
be.
about our, the Christian, English, Scottish, Catholic heritage where you see a nun with a gun and you're like, sign me up.
Yeah, who did this? This is great. But no, I'm looking forward to playing these morons once I get the chance. I'm curious how the grudge tokens will interact with accurate and severe and all those changes. But
Yeah.
they're a
I
bunch of
mean,
fun. They're cool.
and so out of these teams that you've built,
Mm,
these sanctifiers were incredible, by the way.
thank you.
Um,
Yeah, I love them.
speaking of religious, the religious
A
affinity,
terrible photo I
I
took.
love these guys. The sculpts are
They're
incredible.
so good. They're so good. The guy holding the torch. I spent a solid like 15 minutes giving him a skinhead, so I kind of glazed sort of a bald head on him. And then after I finished it all, I looked at it. I was like, "You cannot see this. This was completely pointless." What are you gonna do? As long as you have fun painting them, that's what matters.
I think the yellow is so cool.
Thank you.
I love like because Kill Team, the beauty is we could just go with a brand new color scheme so quickly. Like you said, you never tried your Votan before,
Yeah,
and now it's like a really cool green. No one's ever seen Votan in that type of green,
yeah.
right?
You just get to make like you get to make a decision. You commit to it. You carry it out, and it's 10 guys at like 12, 10 guys. And if it looks great, brilliant. And if it looks terrible, just do it again. It's fine. I mean, I
Yeah,
say I say that as someone who like I appreciate some people fucking hate painting and it's the thing they despise most. And to those people, I say there are other games available for you. But but when it comes to hobbying, and if it wasn't for the hobby side of it, I don't think I would do this. The game's fun, but the hobby's
yeah.
brilliant.
I'm right with you on that one, and it's like it's what really I love the three pillars that it always
Mm,
brings is like I mean, a lot of people just do it just for the hobby and the
yeah,
painting. Like, there's all these dedicated channels where they couldn't be bothered with the actual gameplay. That's so relaxing on itself. It's so soothing. It's so inspiring. And then the beauty is we get to actually like create storylines around these guys
yeah,
that we're building and painting. So the gameplay and the hobby kind of enhance each other because if it was just hobby, it was like it wouldn't be like there wouldn't be any true purpose to painting them or wouldn't be that same level of excitement. But when you know you're gonna play them, and then when you're playing two nicely painted armies, I think that's what makes Warhammer so special, I think, and so unique across all games in the entire world. And while I'm trying to get all of my I don't we got to come up with a name of like non-Warhammer. I don't want to call them muggles, but it kind of captures
fiscally intelligent people. Uh, yeah, no, I know. I think there's a stat. Oh God, it was from a Warhammer survey from about a year and a half ago, and you got a $5 voucher for filling out this survey, by the way. So you were incentivized to do it, and based on the statistic they gathered, on average, the average 40k, and obviously this doesn't apply Kill Team, but the average 40k player on average plays zero point 0.8 of a game per month. Most people don't play the game. Most people just collect the models, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like you said, there's the painting something is great, but you put it on the table against your friend who has also painted it and it looks fantastic. It's coming back from tournaments is probably when I'm most inspired to paint because I've seen everyone else's fantastic paint jobs and then mine's in that environment. Oh, it's great. It's second to none. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I've been so exhausted, like got up at 7, gone to Chimera, Waterloo, come back, paint another team because it's just like it's
They
like
must be painted.
can't get enough. But it's really like so rewarding. It's so with all the new painting technology as well. Came from when we got in the hobby when we were like 12, so that was like 23 years ago.
Yeah.
So the technology over 23 years, the models were cool. White Dwarf was amazing back then, but now really with the contrast, the glow in the dark paints, the like all these different cool things like airbrushes. I know you use like a beautiful oil paint, oil
Yeah, I
wash.
use a lot of
Just
streaking grime, which is
yeah,
like an enamel-based paint. Wear a mask, by the way. Wear a mask. We only have one set of lungs. Don't fuck around with them. But yeah, no, like the if I only got into Warhammer and Kill Team, or sorry, Warhammer and painting models in late November 2021 was when I
oh
started,
wow,
and
recently.
yeah, and in that time I've painted, I think it's about 18 separate 2,000 point armies, however many kill teams. I did quite a few. Um, I've done Flames of War. I've done Bolt Action. I have a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's nice to just put paint on stuff.
Yes,
But if it weren't for the fact that, like you said, like these technological advancements, I can sit there and be like, how do I do that? And I don't have to piss around and get it wrong 10 times. I get to go on YouTube and I get to get it wrong twice. You know, I get to message yourself and be like, listen, you have a really nice kind of glow on this, or you have a nice effect on this. What did you actually use? Like these guys are, we talked about this, they're an orange ink into a yellow ink, and that's kind of what gives them that hue. And we talked about that. I can just message you and ask a question, and we have an answer there and then. I don't have to know
yes.
someone who knows more than me, and then how did they know more than me? Well, they've read X book. Like the accessibility of the hobby has never been higher, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think a really good place to end here is how did you get into in this 2021? How did you get into Warhammer?
Oh, it's a great question. Oh dear. I'd always found it very, very, very interesting. I'd walked past it, and I remember I walked past the shop, and I looked, and it said it was Termagants, the Tyranid unit. And I was young at the time, and it said £20, which is great. I would love a box of Termagants to be £20. I was like, oh, those look really cool. And they look great. And I went inside and they were like, oh, you have to build it and paint it. I was like, get fucked. And I left. And I was like, imagine paying that nonsense. And then friends and I got really into Blood Bowl, playing it on the computer. The pandemic hit, and I thought, if ever I'm going to learn, as most people did, right? If ever I'm going to learn this skill, I have unlimited time in the house where I can't move. I will learn it. And I bought a Blood Bowl team, and I built it and I painted it, and I went, this looks like complete shit. And I stopped. I played versus my friends and stopped. And in November 2021, I was moving back to Canada. I landed here on November 1st, 2021. And my buddy Brian and my buddy Watsy were both like, we'll get into 40k. And it was just that, like, as much as I painted at the time orcs, I painted like my shitty orc. He was my shitty orc. And that's what we loved about it, was like, me and all my friends were in it together, and we would like post a photo, and the paints were in the right place. And that's all it took to be like, that's sick. And now I'm like, my OSL's like a little off, and like I don't like the ratio of like warm to cool on this guy. No. All it took was just like, you paint your cool guy, and yeah, that alone I think kept me in it. It's just having like two or three like close friends who are also into it, and then you open the door, and all of a sudden there's actually this wide, wonderful community full of like these really, really nice people who want to see nothing more than you succeed in whatever endeavor it might be. And so I got into it by virtue of two friends, but I stayed in it by virtue of thousands more. Nice little audio clip for you there.
Oh yeah, yeah. How do we even continue from out there? That was like the best ending to any podcast ever. Oh
Oh,
man.
yeah. Well, listen, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been really wonderful to sit and chat with you.
Oh, it's been amazing. We were talking since we launched Twinhammer. We're like, we gotta have you on.
Yeah, yeah.
And Thomas actually popped by as this was going on because I rushed over to record in his basement over
Yeah, of
here.
course.
So he's like, oh man, he was teaching right now. So he's like, say hello to Dave as well. And
Oh,
like,
man.
just
Sorry
such
to
a
have missed
pleasure to
them.
have you.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I hope I've been worth the hype.
you have, man. You have a featured you like a rap star at and then we're gonna put you in
Oh,
the
there you go. I
thumbnail.
am quite the rapper. Oh well, okay. Well, let us get away for now.
Well,
But thank you so much again, Alex.
yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for coming on, man. This was just
No
such
bother.
a smash, man. Take care.
Anytime. Take care.